All right, hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out as always. So another gameplay video for you guys. This one's against a Verdance, which is a super interesting new hero from Rosetta. They play on such a different axis, and it's hard to know, like, do we treat them as a wizard? Do we treat them as a they play on a really different level, and the life gain adds a really interesting component to it as well. So let's take a look at how we navigated the game. Reaping Blade comes in super handy. I think I get the sense that it's quite hard for them to play around it. I think a very good Verdance player who is familiar with the matchup will know how to, and you need to be familiar. There's a lot of rune blades floating around who are able to access Reaping Blade, but I think it makes their lives quite difficult. I think I also decided to, let's just go back really quickly, sorry. I think I decided to also put on, Dyadic Carapace. So I'm running AB3. Again, Tunic might be the play. I don't think we're that worried about the Arcane. The Arcane just becomes an issue during their combo turn when they do that like rampant growth, gain a bunch of life, crack life potions and do like 27,000 or something. But at that point, AB1, AB3, it doesn't matter. You're going to get blown out anyways. So Tunic might actually be the play. I decided to test out Carapace in this case, just to see if the AB feels good or not. But Reaping Blade just does so much heavy lifting for us in this matchup. So our first turn's a bit awkward. We decided to play a Phantom Wraith. So actually, I kind of like this. This is a good example of a turn 0 that we actually do want to swing in this case. So I'm thinking about setup. I don't just want to banish Phantom Wraith, make a Rune Champ pass. Could be a decision I make. But in this case, because I am holding a blue and a whale and a Shadow non-attack, I can play out the Shadow non-attack even though it's not going to buff my whale, right? This has to target a banished card, but I'm still going to play out the Beseech to guarantee that I end on 2 Rune Chants. So I'm going to play out the whale. In this case, I don't get an arsenal, but I get to set up a card and banish, and I get to end on 2 Rune Chants. So the alternative could be I just banish the Phantom Wraith, arsenal the Beseech, but in this case I'm stripping cards. Well, it's turn 0, so I'm not really stripping cards, but it allows me to set up a card in banish and end on 2 chants instead of 1 chant. So the difference would be, do I want an arsenal card and 1 chant, or do I want no arsenal card and 2 chants? It's like, honestly, could have gone either way. In this case, I decided to favor the Rune Chant generation there, which kind of sucked because they played Scour. But so we are reset anyways, but there's no way for us to know that. And because of the makeup of our hand, which was quite awkward, so to go back, we had quite a few. We just have 4 attack action cards. We can't do anything about it. So we actually decided to, so in this case, the Arcane Barrier actually did help us out. Scour was presenting, so they destroyed all of our Rune Chants and presented 4, and we AB'd 3 of that, which allowed us to kind of filter our hand a little bit. So we pitched 3 of our red attack actions to Scour, and then what we're left with is the Eloquent Eulogy that we can banish and play for 1 and 4. So pretty straightforward, a bit awkward of a start. So maybe that turn 0, maybe it would have been a better idea to just like either banish the Wraith or banish the Whale and just pass, sit on the Beseech and Arsenal. But either way, they were going to reset us with Scour. So there was like no way for us to foresee that. So anyways, they take a couple damage, a couple points of damage here. They are below our life total now, so they can gain life if they want to, but it's early game, so they are probably just going to focus on starting to decompose a little bit. So we get to end on an Eloquence, which may or may not play a role. We take some Blood Debt, which is not the end of the world, and then we see what they are going to do. So we're going to play one of their Decompose cards, Cadaverous Tilling, and start to decompose. Excuse me, this comes in for 8. Pretty big number. In our case, we do have Eloquence and Funeral Moon, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to take advantage of all of those action points. We don't have enough. I don't know if I want to break Vexing this early. We don't have enough Rune Chants to play out this Deathly Whale. We could have played it out natural maybe by pitching the Succumb and another card, but that's also a bit awkward. So yeah, I don't know. Tunic could help us could have helped bail us out there with that additional resource. Could have helped in this case, but so we are just gonna like use this turn as setup. We're not pitching we're not playing the Funeral Moon in this case to. Sometimes we do this, by the way. You have Eloquence, you can play Funeral Moon, it produces a rune chant. Eloquence gives it go again. If we're not playing it at instant speeds, we don't get that additional action point. But sometimes we just need another rune chant. In this case, we just needed a second rune chant to be able to play out the Phantom Wraith. It's also a Shadow non-attack, so it allows us to take a damage, which in this case turns Succumb online. So this did turn this turn into a pretty good turn. Which it was like a little bit awkward. The makeup of our hand was a bit awkward. They have one Unpreventable to contend with, so they'll have to take it. Then they have another 1 and 6, and we'll be able to play out the Succumb to Temptation. And if they don't cover this up, and in my experience, like Verdance, I don't know why they're pitching a red. Maybe they just need to get it on the bottom of their deck, but so they pitched a red 2 block to prevent 1 arcane, but anyways, I don't know. They might just be trying to pitch stack. So we're going to play out Succumb to Temptation. My experience with Verdance, and that's fine, like they play Rootbound Carapace, they might actually be able to cover this up. And then they play Rampant Growth, which is a little confusing to me as well. So we're just going to be able to gain a life. But I think maybe they're just trying to get more Earth cards in Graveyard, I guess, so that they can Rootbound Carapace and cover this up. Not quite sure. But so this still hits. So anyways, I'm not sure. I'm not a Verdance player, so I don't know the strategy here. I think they're just like really trying to decompose. Maybe that is important early game. And then I think we could have chosen either one here. The Aether Bloom is just a 0 for 3 that I decided to get rid of in their hand. We're gonna present 4. And they're going to block for 3 with Plow Under. If we would have chosen the Plow Under, they probably would have just thrown the whatever Aether Bloom under the bus instead, and the result would have been the same. So, again, I'm still learning these matchups. Verdance right now has a higher life total than us, so their life gain is offline because of Reaping Blade. I don't know if they're just like, if banishing or like decomposing is that important, so... In this case, we had enough rune chants to... Sorry, I'm going to rewind to the beginning of our turn. I was just still trying to figure out what Verdance is doing. But sorry, we didn't have enough rune chants, but we banished an Eloquent Eulogy, and we just played the Deathly Wail out natural. They're going to prevent the 1 arcane pitching a Sigil of Solace because they can't gain life right now. So this is where the awkwardness comes up. Because we're on Reaping Blade, they're going to have to do some interesting things. But I love to see them pitch a Sigil of Solace to get 1 value from it. And then they took some damage, so we're able to play out Funeral Moon at instant speeds, take a damage, and then net 3 rune chants before we end the turn, which is great. And yeah, you'll notice that like they're having to do some really strange things because the deck is so built around life gain. And as soon as they're at a higher life total than us, and I don't know if they just took damage hoping they would find themselves at a lower life total, but because we're taking Blood Debt and we're taking damage from Vynnset's second ability, we are like, we can also play this game where we're using our life as a resource to get benefit, but it's giving us additional benefit by falling below them and turning their life gain off. In this case, they're just presenting a vanilla 6. They are requiring us to bottom a card. No, that's not how that works. That's for Arsenal. So we just decided to take this vanilla 6. It also, like, we're happy to remain at a lower life total than them. So I don't mind so much, like, having a life deficiency in this matchup. I don't know what happened. They went back. But I think we still just choose to take the 6. Or maybe their banish was off or something. I don't know. But anyways. So we take the 6, we banish this Widespread Annihilation in this case. We're able to present, because we have a Eulogy in Banish, which is really easy to play out, we're able to play Machinations, give Annihilation go again, produce our 4th rune chant on Banish, present 4 and 6 go again. And this one is like they take any damage, and they have to banish a card from hand, which is very good. So now 6 overpower. When I close the chain, you'll have to banish a card from hand. We are going to pitch this Beseech to play the Envelop to make the rune chant we need to play Eloquent Eulogy. So we're going to follow this up with another 1 and 7. So pretty good. And we'll be able to end on an Eloquence as well. So since we haven't taken any damage yet, I will probably want to close the chain as soon as this resolves, so that they have to discard a card from hand or banish a card from hand before we present our next attack. So that could be, makes for some awkwardness. So anyway, so we go ahead and close the chain. They have to choose a card from hand, and they banish this Rampant Growth, which is their, I think they got confused, because that is definitely not the banished target. That's like their combo piece. So they rewound. I don't know if Talishar is weird. Sometimes they probably didn't realize that Talishar was asking them to banish a card from hand. So anyways, so we did this again. We closed the chain. We're going to give them a chance to make a better decision in terms of what they're going to banish. This time they banished this blue. I don't know what it does, but anyways. We pitch Beseech, as mentioned, to play out Envelop. We don't need to take any damage, or we can to guarantee the Eloquence, but since they already lost life, we're going to get the Eloquence anyways. So this is for 1 and 7. And we'll end on Eloquence, which we're happy about as well. Awesome. Okay. So now they're at a lower life total. They are able to gain life. So this is another one of those like back and forth things that we can like navigate. They're going to play Rampant Growth and whatever that is. So they're going to gain a life first. No. What even just happened? I'm very confused. So this is another thing, is like learning these other matchups. So they activate Staff amps, right? Then they play out Rampant Growth life. They should be able to gain the life, but they did not. Then they played, they played Sigil in response or something. So they gained, no, okay, they rewound. So they played Rampant Growth life, which gains them a life. Excellent. So now Thorn is dealing 2 damage. Or Verdance is dealing 2 damage. Because they got amped from the staff. Makes sense. So I'm just trying to figure out whether I want to pitch to this or not. Because I don't know. I decide to pitch to it. Maybe incorrect. But I have a pretty awkward hand here. I don't have any... attack action cards. So Verdance is presenting another 2. This time I let them take it and they make an embodiment. It's not going to matter. I'm going to banish a card, play Read the Runes, and then just sit on another card. I was pretty confident that they weren't going to send out an attack action card there either, so I wasn't going to be able to filter with Crown. So essentially just trying to prevent as much damage as possible. Set up here, so banish a Mauve Sky as I decide I want to sit on the Revel and Arsenal, but just make a bunch of chants and move on to the next turn. We're both on 20, so they can't gain life anymore, which helps us out. We're going to pitch to Staff once again. They're going to play Blossoming Decay to decompose even more. So 5, or maybe they couldn't meet the decompose requirement there. Oh, they rewound again. So let's fast forward a little bit. Just some awkwardness here, I think. So they're playing out a Pulsing Aether life. So gain a life, which they were able to gain. Oh, because we were on even life totals. So that now they're at a higher life total. They can't gain anymore. But we took that 1 Arcane from Verdance's ability, which is fine. Then they do Plow Under. We lose our Revel, which is a little unfortunate. But it's sort of still okay. We have a lot of rune chants, and we have access to a lot of more rune chant generation. So we're happy to just like give them a couple cards. I think Read the Runes is a bit awkward in this hand. We don't have extra resources to be able to creepers, so I might try and filter that. Yep. We draw into a Widespread Annihilation, and we do have 4 chants. So I'm glad they didn't scour those away. So we could just present Widespread Annihilation if we want to, which is, I think, a good choice here, because Dirge, Delight, or Whale, sorry, on their own are good hands. So I think I could just do Annihilation here, threaten their hand in a more meaningful way, like present them with more of a meaningful on hurt or on hit. and then just like arsenal the dirge for next turn, where I know I'll be able to like banish whale, play dirge, and then play whale. Because just to explain, whale and dirge, like you banish whale, make a rune chant, play dirge to turn that rune chant into 3, and then you have everything you need to play out the whale from banish. So I don't mind just holding these back and presenting them with something that they really can't ignore here. They're going to have to completely block this out unless they want to give me a card from hand. They rewound again. Again, like I understand this in Talishar. We're learning how to navigate different matchups, and Vynnset is like not the easiest matchup, or it's not a hero that you encounter that frequently. So I find I encounter a lot of that like takesy backsy thing as people are learning new decks. So they're learning how to navigate their deck, and not only that, they're learning how to navigate their deck into potentially a hero and a matchup they're not comfortable with. So totally understandable. So they give us their last card that they have to banish because they did take some damage. We arsenal the dirge, we banish whale, play out malefic, play the dirge out to turn 1 into 3, and then simply play out the whale. I'm considering, like, the alternative would just like hard cast the delight, but we want to, like, there were no unpreventable there, but they did decide to take 1 anyways. So we want to, as much as possible, try and roll whales to end on rune chants. So it's always helpful if we can float more rune chants to the next turn. In this case, we're going to float 1 minimum from malefic, but it's always better to float 2, so then we can easily play out this whale next turn maybe. So in this case, we'll see if I decide to arsenal the delight. I do, which is fine. We might be able to hard cast that later on in this game. In this case, we have 2 red Mavrine Skies and a whale that I really want to banish. So we'll see what we do after that. So Perennial Aether Bloom is presenting 4. We don't really have any easy ways to block that, so we just soak up 4 damage, banish Deathly Whale on our turn, play out Mavrine Skies, play out Whale for 3 and 5, go again, on hit 3 rune chants. Malefic will create us 1 more rune chant. So we'll at least have 1 rune chant to follow this up with. We could play out the Delight by pitching these 2 cards if we really want to go wide here and pressure their life total. They block this out and make an embodiment of Earth. And I do decide to clear... Yep, I decide to clear my arsenal here. Pitching the other 2, coming in for another 1 and 5. I don't know, I still have Vexing Quillhand up, so I don't really need that safety net of 1 rune chant to the next turn. I could have as easily just like decided to hold that back, but I just decided I didn't want to IP myself there. I still end on 1 because of Deathly Whale closing the chain, so I was comfortable enough with that decision. And then we draw into a bit of a mess, but we have a lot of potential. What I see in this hand is like we have a lot of ways to make rune chants, and we have Oblivion, which cares about a large number of rune chants, specifically 6. So like banishing Ursur and then just making a bunch of rune chants, like Dirge a chant, and then Revel or Read so that we end on 7. Then we arsenal this Oblivion. So next turn we know we'll have Demon. We're on 7, which is a little concerning, but they are on a higher life total. So again, Reaping Blade carrying a lot of weight here. And they play out Heartbeat, but they can't. I think they're realizing that, oh, I'm at a higher life total, so actually Heartbeat doesn't do anything. So they have to rewind, and instead of playing Heartbeat, again, they're probably getting a bit frustrated from Reaping Blade at this point, because it kind of stifles their game plan. But you can just see how much heavy lifting Reaping Blade is doing against these heroes where life gain matters. So they were only able to set up 2 channels their turn. They didn't really pressure our life total. And we're going to do some scary stuff. We banish a Widespread Ruin, and we have a bunch of rune chant generation, but we're just going to go ahead. We're probably going to do some creeper shenanigans here, but go ahead and present a bunch of rune chants and a ruin. As soon as we reach 6 rune chants, sorry, Oblivion will pop up and we will make our demon. Because I have Revel, if we're planning on playing Revel, we're probably not going to want to swing Demon because Demon doesn't pop rune chants. It's not an attack action card. So, or a weapon. So demon doesn't pop rune chance. So it doesn't make sense to play revel demon. So I'm either going to do demon here after creepers, or I'm going to make a bunch of rune chants and present blade, which will pop the rune chants and send those rune chants to face. So it depends on what I'm favoring in terms of like arcane or physical damage. So we're going to activate creepers, pitching. If I pitch Malefic, okay, that means I'm favoring rune chant gen. So I'm just going to make as many rune chants as possible. And oh yeah, the Urser from Banish. So I'm able to just come in for 7 and 2, and they're on 3. So they're either, you know, they need to either pitch a bunch, and even at that, they're dead. So I wasn't even able to swing demon here, but just based on their like low life total, I was able to basically just overwhelm them with rune chants. They have a red here that they pitch, but yeah, game is over at that point. So super interesting. You know, definitely, I think if there's a takeaway from this matchup is find room in your list, regardless of whether you're on red line or mid-range, for Reaping Blade. It does so much heavy lifting against these big life game matters heroes. So anyways, another interesting game. I hope you guys found it interesting. You learned something from that. Let me know what you think. As always, if there's any lines that you would have played differently, consider subscribing. I always appreciate the support. But for now, that'll be it. I'll be back with some more short form gameplay content for you guys soon. Until then, take care and we'll chat again soon. Cheers.